Minecraft is a game renowned for its creativity, exploration, and impact on the gaming industry as a whole. Yet, when the question comes, that question being, what is the easiest and most peaceful way to play Minecraft? The obvious answer is to play in one of Minecraft's many available game modes, that being Peaceful Mode. Yet, despite the upfront nature of Peaceful Mode being the easiest and safest way to play, whenever you play it, let me ask you this. Why do you feel that strange sense of unease? Why do you feel like despite that apparent lack of danger in the world, there's still something lurking in there with you? That is the question we hope to answer today. Before we move on to discuss the nature of peaceful mode in and of itself, it's important for us to discuss the gameplay loop of Minecraft. Minecraft's normal gameplay loop is to spawn in, gather resources, wait for nightfall, and when nightfall comes, do either two things. One, get out there and fight hostile mobs such as zombies, skeletons, creepers, endermen, spiders, or tunnel underground and wait the night out. This gameplay loop adds a simple sense of survival as well as a sense of urgency and purpose. The urgency in the first day to get to shelter as soon as possible and to be set up with at least one torch before nightfall, otherwise you are vulnerable to mobs spawning in and around you. This purpose and this urgency gives players something to focus on. Now let's take that and let's remove one thing from the equation, that sense of urgency and that sense of danger. And what you left with? Nothing really compelling you to build that first base, nothing compelling you to hurry up and gather resources. Yet despite that, everything you know about the game is still telling you to gather resources and to immediately hunker down because you're afraid that something's going to come for you. But ultimately, there's nothing there. Peaceful mode's removal of threats removes the need to defend oneself. This shifts the game's focus from survival to simple exploration and building. However, with that, there comes something else. This lingering sense of emptiness. Next thing I'd like to discuss is the sound design of Minecraft, and I'd like to do this in three separate mediums. The first of which being Minecraft's caves and ravines, second being Minecraft's nether dimension, and third being the deep oceans of Minecraft. The three of these locations provide unique yet similar experiences with the sound design, with that sound design adding to the sense of unease, loneliness, and emptiness, which only highlights that uncanny feeling and unease that one feels while playing this in peaceful mode. Let's start off by discussing caves. Generally, when playing Minecraft, to get resources, iron, coal, diamonds, gold, redstone, anything of that notion, one needs to venture into caves and start caving. However, a threat is that caves are always dark, which means in normal game modes, mobs will spawn in there. However, in peaceful mode, when you stand at the foot of a cave and look down into it, there's nothing. Emptiness, silence, no footsteps, no mobs, no zombies groaning, no skeletons and their bones clattering, just silence. And that feeling is only amplified when you go inside the cave. There is no sound other than your own, or the sound of water or lava gushing. The occasional cave noise does still play, but there's no sound of mobs, no familiarity, nothing to keep you actively on edge, even though subtly you're still scanning the horizon to make sure that there is truly nothing. Down in the caves, there's also very few companion mobs. At least when you're above ground, you can see the occasional sheep or cow or chicken. Down here, it's you alone or you and a few bats, which often disappear. This adds to that feeling of unease and loneliness, and you're not quite sure if you truly are alone. Taking away from the creepiness of caves, moving on to the deep ocean, it's actually peaceful down here. Usually, you tend to need to watch out for guardians if you're near an ocean monument, or drowned. However, in peaceful mode, none of those exist, which allow you to explore the bottom of the ocean floor in relative peace. However, by nature of Minecraft's underwater, you can only see so far. And with that, as in any normal body of water, that fear of the unknown comes back, and you're not sure what quite lies beyond that veil which you can very thinly see through. The lack of underwater mobs makes underwater exploration, in my opinion, slightly more enjoyable. I can spend more time looking around, looking for cool underwater formations, looking for caves, without having to worry about drown following me, or me drowning way too fast, because your health loss in peaceful mode is significantly reduced, and health regeneration significantly increased. So overall, the deep ocean in peaceful mode is probably the most relaxing and the most peaceful biome. Finally, I'd like to discuss the Nether. The Nether for me is probably the creepiest of the three. When you go into the Nether, what do you expect? You expect ghast, you expect piglins, you expect magma cubes, you expect to see skeletons, wither skeletons or blazes. Yet when you spawn in, there is absolutely nothing. Just the sound of endless fire crackling around you. Or you can run into the occasional zoglin, or get lucky and find a bastion, but nether fortresses, once inhabited by withered skeletons, normal skeletons, and blazes, now lie empty and desolate. The nether wastes, flat and empty, not a single piglin in sight. And with the nether already being a rather scary and creepy environment, removing the one familiarity from it, that being the mobs, only makes it 10 times worse. In the overworld, on the surface, there's at least peaceful mods to keep you company. Sheep, pigs, cows, and the like. But in Nether, very few such mobs exist. Sure, you could run into a strider here and there, but for the most part, it's going to be you completely alone, surrounded by all sides, with nothing to guide you, no mobs to follow, nothing to hunt. It's still just as you're in the cave. You feel watched. You don't feel entirely alone. Next, I'd like to discuss the final topic before I move on to my personal thoughts and conclusion, which is the paradox of a safe world feeling unsafe. Now, this can be traced back to something which has become very popular in recent years, and that is the liminal space theory. Now, in short, liminal spaces are areas which are uncanny and areas which seem off, despite being completely normal and generic locations. This could be an empty mall, an empty bathroom stall, or anything of the like. Now, the reason that we find this to be eerie, and the reason that we think liminal spaces are applicable here, is because peaceful mode feels like a liminal space. It feels right, but something is missing. When you go into a cave, it's a normal cave and you recognize it as a cave, but something's missing, and that missing part is the mobs. Removing mobs from the equation and removing those monsters from the equation puts us in a sense of unease because we recognize caves as an area where monsters are. Yet when we go there, there are none. Similarly to how when you go into an abandoned mall, you might feel that sense of unease because malls are meant to be populated, it's meant to be bustling and full of activity. Yet an empty mall with just you is going to be creepy no matter how well lit or how large it may be. This directly plays into the liminal space theory and is entirely applicable to Minecraft's peaceful mode. And alongside this, there's no contrast in peaceful mode. In normal game modes, there is a contrast of danger and safety, with your base being safe and the outside at night being dangerous. Yet in peaceful mode, the lack of mobs completely messes up our perception of safety, and safety contrasting with our base. In peaceful mode, outside is just as safe as the inside. So even though everything is safe, it still feels off and it feels weird. And then there's the question of what if? The psychological tension that you might feel in peaceful mode is that what if question in the back of your head. What if I saw something move in the corner of my eyes? What if there's something else following and watching me? And this was most highlighted with the Herobrine myths and tales that came many years ago in Minecraft's early days. This all adds on to our paradox of a safe world feeling unsafe. So, in conclusion, why we need monsters. I think Minecraft's game design is phenomenal, and I think this phenomena that we experience in peaceful mode is only indicative of that amazing game design because it shows how the simple presence of mobs adds a whole another layer of atmosphere, and that's something that we don't really get in other games. In a lot of games, things have an impact on the gameplay loop, yes, and things have an impact on how we perceive the game and play it. But in Minecraft, it completely changes the way our brains think of the game. It changes our perception of our environment, and it's a completely different way to play. And I think that creepiness highlights the appeal of peaceful mode. And personally, I love it. And as someone who loves horror, and as you guys have seen on this channel, I tend to cover stuff which is creepy or horror-like, especially with Gmod map videos and the video I did on space and its odd phenomena. I think Minecraft adds on to that with the peaceful mode. So ultimately, I think we need monsters in Minecraft because they make the game, they make the environment of the game, but at the same time, it is 100% playable in a completely unique way without them. So I encourage you all, if you have not tried it yet, to try peaceful mode. And experience this strange, uneasy setting firsthand. And let me know in the comments if anyone has had any creepy experiences or anyone has anything to add on to this idea of there being a safe world, but that safe world being unsafe in your head. And thank you, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Goodbye.